Condemned building that's a big part of Gwinnett County's history has some people pretty alarmed.
Yeah, some are concerned for the future, but the Norcross mayor promises that this will not be harmed. Atlanta News First reporter Madeline Montgomery is live outside the Norcross Women's Club Old Library. Madeline.
Neighbors were extremely concerned when they saw this sign go up with the word condemn on it, but the neighbor tells me that doesn't necessarily mean that this building is coming down.
This building speaks to you.
For over 100 years, this building has served the city of Norcross.
This building is important because it's the first library in Gwinnett County.
It was built by the Norcross Women's Club, who owned it until recently handing it over to the Georgia Trust.
We take distressed properties and then we find preservation-minded buyers to acquire the properties.
But that's not how things are turning out for the Women's Club Old Library. The city of Norcross posted this sign stating their intention to consider a condemnation resolution for the building. The mayor couldn't go on camera, but explained that's a legal step towards the city taking eminent domain of the space.
Government entities have the ability to take private property as long as they can show that they have a public use for it.
The mayor says the city isn't sure the exact use they'll have for the building yet. The Women's Club and the Georgia Trust previously tried to sell the property to the city, but the mayor said they were at a stalemate.
They were never comfortable with the notion of having an easement on the building.
An easement is agreement to protect historic properties. Folks at the Georgia Trust and with the Women's Club are worried that if the city gets the building without an easement, anything could happen to the old library.
We're saddened and disappointed.
Norcross Mayor Craig Newton says he has no intention of tearing the library down.
It is a part of the historic fabric of Norcross, as any historic building would be to its community. And when you lose those, you start to lose context on how that community evolved.
A meeting over the fate of the building will be at City Council on September 3rd at 6:30. Reporting live in Norcross, I'm Madeline Montgomery, Atlanta News First.